Good day, collectors and viewers. Social Distance Warrior is back, and today we're going to look at the Cloud Car Pilot, one of the original 96 figures from the original Star Wars trilogy. So our Cloud Car Pilot made his debut back in Empire Strikes Back. We first get a glimpse of him in that movie in 1980 when it was released. And this is, of course, when our rebels are on the run from the Empire right after the Battle of Hoth. Princess Leia, Han Solo, Chewbacca, C-3PO, they get stranded and chased by Boba Fett over to Cloud City in Bespin. So they reach Bespin, and it's a city in the clouds, and it's amazing because one thing that was always awesome with George Lucas and his movies is that no scenes ever looked the same. They always explored something new. It was always something that was a new visual experience, and now we're in a city in the clouds. And I remember as a kid looking at it and wondering, how the hell is there a city floating in the clouds and on this planet? I thought it was so cool. I wanted to visit it. And of course, we get to visit it there with the Falcon when it lands. And as it's about to land and getting permission to land, authorization, it gets greeted by a couple twin pod cloud cars. And the Cloud Car pilots, they're basically security for the city on Bespin that's protecting its Tabana gas. So that's our first glimpse that we get of them. What's interesting here is that we'd get a release of the actual vehicle, the twin pod Cloud Car, when the Empire Strikes Back merchandise came out, and we'll throw a picture up and you'll see that there wasn't a Cloud Car pilot yet at the time. So the picture has other figures from Empire Strikes Back boarding, like the Bespin guards and stuff, boarding that the vehicle to fly it. And we wouldn't get our action figure of the Cloud Car pilot until 1982. So in 1982, in the Empire Strikes Back, as part of the 45 back, we'd get the twin pod Cloud Car pilot as he was initially named. And then afterwards, that title was shortened from twin pod to just Cloud Car pilot. And that's this guy over here. So we can see what's awesome, though, I loved about Empire Strikes Back, is that all the figures look different from everything that was in Star Wars. You knew it was from a new movie just because of the figures themselves. They're all different. Nothing resembles anything else. And he's got a nice look to him. He's in a full white jumpsuit with slightly tan or yellow gloves and helmet and boots. And he did come with a couple accessories. I lost the comlink. He does have a comlink that goes into that hand. And then he has a blaster that goes into this hand that's unique to him, which is neat. One thing that jumps out at you right away about this character is that he's got one of his hands in a prefixed pose. I don't know why they chose to put this hand curved like that, but it always annoyed me as a kid. It took away from the aesthetic, the look of the character. But again, it made him a little bit different. He can basically only hold the gun in that hand, and I guess they put that other hand this way so he can hold that comlink and talk to somebody, even though he's flying the Cloud Car, and he can talk right out of the Cloud Car. But this is the way he was designed. Let's take a close-up look at his head. You can see it's got a nice look to it. It resembles that twin pod Cloud Car. And there's the helmet. It's got the orange stripes along the sides, and of course the nice yellow/tan pattern across the top, and it's got a little ribbed finish there, you can see. So a lot of texture, and you can see that he's got goggles on as well, and like all the figures were, they're smiling somewhat. And that's the Cloud Car pilot. That's what he looks like all the way around, helmet-wise. As far as articulation on this guy, his head does move side to side. Keep in mind, this is a 40-plus-year-old figure, and he stands the test of time pretty well. Articulation on the arms, they do move up and down. You can see he has his blaster there. And there's the other arm as well, moves up and down. You can drink a soda or whatnot, or a beer. As far as accessories here, again, I only have the one blaster. That's the blaster that I have with him in hand there that he comes with. Again, it's unique to that twin pod Cloud Car pilot. We'll take that accessory out of his hand for now. We'll have a look at him here, articulation wise. They've sculpted his holster here, which is nice as well there on the side. Painted it nicely. He's got a belt coming in across the side there with a little pocket. And then articulation, of course, moving down, we can lift his legs up so he can sit in that Cloud Car nicely. And you can see his boots are painted there at the bottom. So that's what our twin pod Cloud Car pilot looks like from the front. We lift him up, we can see he's got the nice foot pegs there underneath. And then if we turn him to the side, that's what he looks like from the side. And then if you turn around to the back, we can see that that belt is painted nicely all the way around the back there. He doesn't have a nice design with some wrinkles on his pants, which is nice. And if we turn that over here to the side, it says made in Hong Kong on this leg. And then on this one here, it just says Lucasfilm Limited 1981. So even though this figure was released in 82, he was manufactured in 1981. So that's what our twin pod cloud car pilot looks, our original release from back in 1982. All right, so now it gets interesting because Star Wars would go dormant after Return of the Jedi, and we wouldn't have much going on in forms of multimedia. We did have the Ewoks and Droids cartoons, and then Star Wars went away. And then, of course, it made a renaissance there in the early 90s with the Timothy Zahn books, the Heir to the Empire books, and, of course, the Dark Horse comics. And then, of course, news that George Lucas was going to be working on the prequel trilogy and releasing special editions of the original trilogy. So we'd get special editions of the original trilogy, and the Power of the Force 2 line would come out. And as hopeful as I was, I know, like many did, trying to get the original figures, hoping that they would re-release them, they never made a twin pod cloud car pilot initially, so we never got anything. And once the line was about 3 years old in 1998, they decided to expand the design a little bit on the Star Wars brand, and they went into the expanded universe. So the Power of the Force 2 made some figures with vehicles from the expanded universe. So it's concept art for Star Wars. And they made a twin pod cloud car pilot with the cloud car. Now, it wasn't a twin pod cloud car, but it was a cloud car, and they made a pilot with that. So I have that figure over here. So we'll throw a picture up of that cloud car so we can see it in packaging. And then this is the figure that it came with. So this was the concept initially of the twin pod cloud car pilot, and thankfully Lucas didn't go with this design. He went with the one that we got because it's a much less daring design. It's not really exciting feature wise. It looks actually very boring, but fascinating for me to get a figure that was a concept figure and not an updated figure to that twin pod cloud car pilot. So I took what I could at the time. It was nice to have something just because everything was brand new with Star Wars. And you can see already with the Power of the Force 2 design here that they've gone away from the over-buffed look that the line was originally suffering with to a more realistic design like this guy here. And you can see that his wrinkles on his shirt and stuff are done very well. And the character itself looks really good. Just that, you know, the outfit and the hat that he's wearing on his head is very boring. But that's the figure that we got. There he is close up. We're going to have a nice close-up look at his head. So as far as articulation here, we can turn him at the head there, side to side. He does have articulation there at the arms where they go up and down. So you have that on both sides. He's got a nice paint job all over the front of his outfit here. Nice wrinkles on there. He does have the movement there at the waist where you can turn him side to side. He does have a sculpted holster here with a gun inside of it, but it's not removable. But nonetheless, it looks very nice. His legs do come all the way up, so you could sit him down in the cloud car if needed be. You can actually put him in the background in your Star Wars diorama because he does fit in that way. Just doesn't look very pleasing as a character. So he does have a nice line or seam running down the pant leg there. And he's got green boots with the overlay over the boots there. So that's what he looks like from the front. And if we turn him up, we can see he does have foot pegs underneath there, so you can stand him on a stand or in a playset. And then if we turn him to the side, that's what he looks like from the side. Our expanded universe pilot. And then that's what he looks like from the back. And then same thing on the back. You can see they've painted that belt all the way around. He's got nice wrinkles here on the back, and there's the back of the helmet there. So not a very exciting figure, but nonetheless a brand new Star Wars character from expanded universe. So stuff that we weren't used to seeing. It was still relatively new to get stuff that wasn't part of the movies, and a welcome addition, of course. So we'd have to wait a number of years. We'd get all the way to 2004 before we'd finally get a release or a brand new version of the twin pod cloud car pilot from the original Empire Strikes Back movie. So this one pays complete homage to the original design and is one of my favorite figures in my Star Wars collection. That's this guy over here. So original trilogy collection version. You'll notice right away the character resembles that original one. That's right there. Very well. He does have an awesome design here What's interesting is that they did still give us a curved arm, except this time they did it on the right hand instead of the left hand like they have it on there. But nonetheless, he does have that one arm that's slightly curved. But I love the figure because he does have a nice standard pose. So, you know, call me classic, call me boring, but I love my action figures just standing up straight as well and having, you know, a look to them where they can stand in your collection. You can just admire the way they look. And this one definitely has a nice look to him. So you can see the nice paint job that he has on his head there, on his helmet. You can see that his eyes protrude through the goggles there. So he does have goggles on. They've gone that extra step. It's not just covered where you can't see it. And you can see the paint job on the helmet running all the way around. It's actually a very nice paint job there. And we can see the detail on the face there. Now, one thing that's awesome on this figure right off the bat is that helmet, in case you're wondering, is removable. So we can take that helmet off and we can see there's a character underneath there. There's a head. And we can see what he looks like without that helmet on. Give me one sec. I'm going to lose one of his accessories there. So there he is. Headwise. And again, we are not at the real scan technology part yet, but it's a nice face sculpt. And it's a nice addition to be able to take that helmet off. Now, the helmet itself, if we want to take a look at that, that's what it looks like. You can see that it's got some clear plastic running through the full interior, and that's how they were able to mold that the front part of the goggles there, which is a nice feature on the character. And you know, we waited all these years to get a modern version of a Cloud Car pilot, and you know, we got an amazing version of him. He's definitely a favorite of mine. So that's what his helmet looks like. So as far as the figure itself, I was mentioning that it's definitely a true version of that original one. He does have articulation here at the head, so you can turn his head side to side. He does have articulation here at the arm with that one bent arm. That goes up and down just like the other one. He does have articulation here at the gloves or the wrist. You can see that that does turn side to side. A nice little paint job here on the side. You'll notice that he has some accessories on here as well. And again, the accessories are identical to the ones that the original one came with. He's got that, you know, comm link on his belt over here, and it is removable. And he does have a holster with the blaster in there as well that is removable. So that's an awesome feature. And the blaster is very reminiscent of that original one. I'm just going to put the character down for a second just to show you. Side by side, it's like a miniature version of that original gun you can see there. So I love that design. There's definitely a lot of love put into this action figure by the designer, because they probably were desiring to have this figure made just like we were as collectors, and maybe the designer was a collector as well, wanted to do the figure justice. So I did mention that he's got that comm link on the belt there that's removable that the original one also came with, and you can store it on his belt. And you know, there's not much to that accessory. It looks like a small little walkie-talkie, but that's what he comes with, and that stores nicely on his belt there. And before I put it back on the belt, I just want to show you the articulation there at the waist. So you can turn them side to side as well, and you can see that the belt is painted nicely. It's a separate holster on the belt there. It kind of sits in between the top and bottom of his waist, and then we can put that accessory back on his belt since we're not going to twist him anymore. What's nice is that the holster doesn't get in the way of the legs, so if you wanted to lift his leg up, you can. I can see it's kind of pushing the edge of that holster there, so I don't want to bring it up all the way in case it's going to snap. But he does have added articulation here at the knee as well, which was awesome. Again, not many figures had them at the time, but they've given us articulation there at the knee as well. As far as the boot here, you can turn his legs side to side, so there's articulation there as well. And that's the same on both legs. So that's what our twin pod Cloud Car pilot looks like from the front. Let's put his mask down there, his helmet down. Let's lift him up and have a look underneath. We can see he does have foot pegs. And it's hard to make out what it says there. I believe it does say 2004 Lucasfilm Limited, and then Hasbro China on the other foot. So that's what he looks like from the front. And that's what he looks like from the side. And that's what he looks like from the back. And you can see that he's not exaggerated at all. He's got a nice design, nice texture to his outfit. And he's a favorite of mine. He's probably my favorite version of that Cloud Car pilot. And a welcome brand new addition. Finally, after all these years, we got 22 years later, we got a brand new version of the twin pod Cloud Car pilot. So after waiting 22 years to get a brand new version of the Cloud Car pilot, we wouldn't have to wait long to get another one. It was a very big surprise and welcome addition to get another version of this guy. So Hasbro decided that they were going to run the vintage collection. So release all the new Star Wars characters on vintage cards. And then, of course, we were able to get original trilogy characters on the cards, as well as prequel trilogy characters on the cards as well, which was a nice addition. And we'd get a brand new version of the Twin Pod Cloud Car Pilot in 2010. So that's this guy over here. I have him on card, so we can have a look at him here. And of course, he pays homage completely to the original version that was released. And you can see that how nice he looks on an Empire Strikes Back card back. And there we have him in the photo here in the Twin Pod Cloud Car, and you can see him in the window there. Now he looks more like the character that we opened over here than this guy over here, because this guy's got a mustache and the one in the picture doesn't have a mustache. But I'll take two different versions of this character any day. And you can see the nice Kenner logo, and then you can see them there in the bubble, how nice he looks. And if we flip that around to the back, we can have a look at the back and see he's VC number 11. And there he is, his original card back there, original figure that was released. And then it says 1980 to 1982. And then down here we can see other characters that were released at the same time. Now my card back is not as nice as the American card back because it's from up here in Canada. It's the multilingual one, but I'll still take it on a vintage collection card, and if I can just hold it from the front, I'm good. So that's our character on the vintage card. And we're going to have a look at him loose as well, because we have a version of him loose. That's this guy over here. So we can see they haven't just re-released that original trilogy collection one, which I wouldn't have minded if, I wouldn't have been opposed to them re-releasing that one over there, but they updated this guy a little more, and he's probably a better sculpt just because he's a little more articulated. But the other one still fits in well, and I kind of prefer the yellow and orange versus the white and red, I guess, depending on the lighting. And you can say that it was white and red. But this is the new version of the character, and you can see what he looks like here. You can see he's a brand new sculpt. We can see close up on his head. This one does have some facial here. He's got the mustache there. And they've improved that helmet even more. And it's even got, you know, the microphone coming off the side of it there, so he can talk. And you can see he still has the goggles, which is nice. And then you can see that design running all the way across the back. So articulation wise on this guy here, his head is on a ball, so you can turn him side to side. You have some movement up and down. In case you're wondering, is the helmet removable? Yes, it is. We can take the helmet off as well. And we can have a close-up look at this guy here to see what he looks like. So we can see the design there. He's got a nice collar running up. We can put that helmet in view of the camera here. You can see it kind of follows the same design as the other one. It's got, you know, that clear plastic running across the inside to give the goggles their look, their aesthetic. But it's a very nice design. And that's our vintage collection release of the Twin Pod Cloud Car Pilot. Let's put that helmet. It clips back on there nicely. It stays on. As far as articulation on the arms, he does have a ball joint here at the shoulder, so we can have full movement up there. We can pull that arm all the way up. You can turn it around any which way you want. You'd have the same articulation here at the elbow. Inward, outward, roll it all the way around. As far as the wrist, he does have wrist articulation as well. You can turn his glove side to side. You can see that he has his blaster in hand there. That blaster does just come out of here and go into the little pouch that he's got there as well. Not much to that one. We'll leave it in his hand. It sits nicely in his hand there. You can see that his trigger finger is gripping the blaster there nicely. So it gives you a nice design, nice look there. As far as articulation here at the waist, he does turn out the waist there, side to side. If we look down here, he's got a holster that's separate from the bottom part of his legs, but it is attached to the top part of his body. He does have that comm link or calculator, whatever you want to call it, on this side over here, and you can see some wiring there, but it's not removable. It's just the design is just put on there to give it some extra realism and feel. He does have a nice little logo on the front of his chest here, and where the original one had just a little gray paint job there, and the updated one from the original trilogy collection, this one's actually a nice little symbol there on his chest. As far as articulation at the legs, they move up. You can bend him at the knee there. You can see he's got articulation there at the knee. You can turn that knee any which way you want. And then, of course, articulation here at the ankle as well. So you can go up and down. And he's got some nice sneakers on there. They look like Reebok pumps. So there's his sneakers. So that's what our twin pod cloud car pilot looks like from the front. And let's have a look at him underneath here. We can see he's got the feet there with the foot pegs in there, the holes for the feet. If I can see and read, it says Hasbro China on the one foot. On the other one, it says 2009 Lucasfilm Limited. There we go. And that's what he looks like from the side. So you can see a nice design. And that's what he looks like from the back. And you can see the wiring. It just goes back into the back part of his waist there and clips on, but it doesn't come off. It's fixed on there. So he's got a nice design there. One thing you'll notice is that you can see where the articulation is on his knees. It's painted differently. So that may or may not bother you. It doesn't really bother me, but again, it kind of takes away from the nice looking paint job when you turn it around. And you can see his boots and his feet, what he looks like all the way down there. And he sits in nicely in that cloud car. Now, strangely enough, just like the figure took forever to get released, we didn't get a brand new cloud car until 2010. So we went all the way from 1980 to 2010 before we actually got one. And we got an amazing one. Maybe we'll get lucky one of these days and they'll release that cloud car in a vintage collection, packaging, maybe with a pack-in cloud car pilot version of the one with no mustache. Just giving you an idea, Hasbro. So, if you've gotten this far, again, thanks for watching the review. I enjoy doing the videos. I enjoy looking back at these characters and looking how they've changed over the years and talking about them. And please like and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next video. Thank you so much.